repair I'm going to attempt is to replace the front passenger CV axle. I knew that there was a problem because every time I would make a right-hand turn, I would hear it click, 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 click. And then when I brought the car into the Audi dealership, they said, yeah, that clicking noise is the CV axle and it needs to be replaced. So we're going to go ahead and try and replace that now. Okay. Okay, the first step, I need to remove this bolt here. But this bolt has a lot of rust on it, so I'm just going to go ahead and clean that up real quick. What I've done is I have this, it's a wire bristle tip. This is actually a Dremel bit. I don't have a Dremel, but I think this is perfect for this job. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean that rust out of there. Okay, so if you're contemplating replacing your CV axle and you go online and you're looking at the videos on how to do it, a lot of people are saying that this bolt right here is 17 millimeters. This is 17 millimeters and it's not 17 millimeters. In fact, it's 19 millimeters. And again, this is a 2013 Audi A4. It's the cheap model, nothing special, but this one is 19 millimeters. So I'm just gonna put this on a breaker bar. It's going to be tight, so I'm probably going to need a pipe. And actually, before I do that, turn the wheel so if it slips, it's not going to scratch the car. I know this bar is ridiculously big, but it was at this house when I bought it, so it's free. So hopefully it'll do the trick. Man, it's on there good. Wow. All right. And I'm not going to take it out all the way just yet. So now we're going to just jack the car up, take the wheel off, and we'll go from there. Okay, here is the axle that we need to remove. You have one end right here that's attached to the wheel, the other end that's attached to the engine. And it seems pretty straightforward. You just need to remove the 6 bolts on this end and adjust it, and it should slide out. But there's a problem. I have this heat shield right here. And I haven't seen how to remove this on YouTube, so this might be difficult. And also, there's another heat shield that I need to remove, but I can't access it with this in the way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this plastic wheel well out to see if I can't get a better look at what's keeping this in place. All right, we'll do that now. Okay, so in order for me to loosen these 6 bolts here, I need to somehow remove this heat shield, and there's another heat shield up above. And I thought, well, if I remove this wheel well, plastic wheel well, that it would help me out and tell me how I could remove it. But if you take this away, it's really no help. So I have to think of how I'm gonna remove this axle, because this is in the way and this is gonna cause a problem. So I don't want to have to remove the upper control arms, but I think that's what I'm gonna have to do to remove this axle. So here we go. Okay, looks like I'm a seasoned veteran now of removing these upper control arms. So, because we had if you watched the other video, we had to replace these. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna remove this pinch bolt here and hopefully pop these out here. And then we're gonna bring the whole assembly forward and hopefully we could remove the axle that way. First thing we need to do is to jack up this wheel assembly. All right, got that pinch bolt out. I have to remove the upper control arms. There's one. There's two. Now we're going to lower the jack down. Let me see, let's get some light over here. That's out. I gotta get the 6 bolts from the axle to the engine. All right. Okay, again, the reason why we took the upper control arms off the wheel is because of this heat shield. I just couldn't find a way to remove this to access the other heat shield that's up top here. You can just see the very top right here. So I took the upper control arms off, and that did the trick. This is loose. This came this end came off the wheel. So now there are 6 bolts that I have to remove that attach to the engine. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that now. Okay, this is the last one. No. Look at that. Whoops. Here's the bad boy. As you can see, let me see. This was all open, and the grease was all over the inside of my tire, and it wasn't being properly lubricated. That's what was making the clicking sound. So yeah, this definitely needed to be replaced. Okay, so here's the old one. Of course, here's the new one. This is a Duralast. It's a new CV shaft assembly. Now, if you're online and you're watching videos on how to replace this, especially with Audi, everyone's saying you make sure that you get OEM parts. Well, OEM parts are like 400 bucks. This was 145. And this $145 CV axle has a lifetime warranty, unlike the OEM part. So let's see what it looks like, how it compares. Okay, well, they look pretty similar. It's funny because, you know, I'm going through the instructions and it'll say, okay, here are the installation instructions for an Audi A4. Here are the installation instructions for a Subaru. Here are the instructions for another different type of car. So I'm convinced that all car manufacturers probably use about 90% of the same parts. In any event, we're going to go ahead and try and put this back in. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to use this torque wrench. I miss these bolts. They need to be torqued down to 59 foot-pounds. And so I went ahead and I dialed in the correct amount of foot-pounds. It's before everyone gets crazy. I understand I have an 18-inch extension, so I did put the formula. There's a formula, you could Google it. If you need 60 pounds of foot-pounds of torque, that's that 60 pounds of torque is right here. All right, if you have an extension, that amplifies the torque. So you have to back it down. In this case, it's about 24 foot-pounds with an 18-inch extension. So that's what we're going to go ahead and torque those 6 bolts down to now. All right. One. Okay, so we have all 6 of the nuts that are attached to the engine. They're all attached. They're all torqued correctly. Next thing I have to do is I'm gonna attach this hub bolt. This came with my new axle, and this one, instead of 19 millimeters, which was the original, this one's a 17 millimeter hex. So I'm going to attach this, but I'm not going to dog it down quite yet because I still have to do a couple of things. I'm going to dog that down when I get the tire back on. So, okay. Okay, now that this wheel hub bolt is in, it's snug, it's not tight. We're going to torque that down later. But the next thing we're going to do is we're going to attach the upper control arms. Okay, these are fresh out of the freezer. All right. Okay, now that we have the tire attached to the wheel, we're going to go ahead and we're going to torque this wheel hub nut. I'm not even sure the name of it. The torque is 140 foot-pounds, and then once you achieve 140 foot-pounds, then you have to go 180 degrees past that. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that now. This is 17 millimeters. I have my torque wrench set at 140. So we're going to go ahead and give that a shot now. Okay, that was 140, and now we have to go 180 degrees past that, so we have to go all the way around, which is going to be interesting. I'm going to straighten up my tires here. Okay, let's give this a shot using my trusty pipe here. It's a massive pipe, but is this not fitting for some reason? I'll be done. Well. That should do it. Okay, that should do it. So the next step for me, wish me luck, it's a test drive. So I'll let you know how it goes when I get back. Okay, I just got done taking the car for a test drive after replacing the CV axle, and I'm happy to report that everything appears to be in good working order. There's no, it's not pulling to one side or the other. There's no clicking noises. It appears to be working great, and I'm super excited about that. Some of you may be concerned, because I'm not a professional, about the proper installation of that CV axle, and I'm concerned as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the vehicle to my local garage and have them look it over, make sure that everything's torqued correctly and everything looks fine. So we're going to end the segment of me replacing the CV axle. If you want to stick around, you can watch me replace the brakes, the shock absorbers, or the upper control arms. So if you like the video, guys, if you learned something, hit the subscribe button and hit the like button, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys, and beat Army.